Our next little section here is Twitter. That's twitter.com for those of you who are following at home. Sorry. We're gonna just start at the basics. In the manual is how to set up a Twitter account, and it's pretty much self-explanatory. But just in case, just kind of go down the list here. I'm having a little split screen difficulty. Yeah, all you have to do is just click on the sign up button. It's pretty easy. Pick a clever name or a name related to your incident. Like I actually created the ABCD Fire account in Twitter. It'll ask for your full name. Like for me, it'd be Eric Neitzel for my personal account, but you could actually put in, ABCD and then last name is Fire, and that's okay. They accept that. And then the username down here would be ABCD Fire, all one word. And it's kind of nice to keep the capitals capitalized. And then, like Station Fire, we did capital Station, then capital Fire, capital F for Fire. And it just kind of keeps you standing out in the crowd. But either way will work. Lowercase or combo uppercase, it's just all text. A note about changing your username in Twitter. If you've already gathered a following in Twitter and you change your username, all the people that have linked to you will no longer be able to follow you anymore. They'll follow you in Twitterland, but if you send out a link or if they posted links to your Twitter account, they'll all need to be changed. If you ever change your incident or even your personal Twitter account name, it'll change the link structure completely. Meaning that if, like, in Channel 3 posted, your twitter.com/ABCD Fire link on their website, and you change it to ABCD Fire or Prescribed Fire, that link will no longer work, and those people will have to go back and change it on their own websites. That's just a side note. I've seen people midstream change their Twitter account name or Twitter name, and it kind of messes things up.
Oh, just in terms of naming protocols too, you can do what you want to do. Most forests have said Coronado NF, or if you have a really long name like the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest or whatever, they have RRSNF. Try to make it kind of short, because if people have to include your name in a mention, it takes up Twitter letters. So, Coronado NF, or as short as you can get, it's better for retweeting and for using Twitter. But also, if you're doing it as a person, and I really recommend that you practice with a personal account, so I am fond of sign up with your own name. That way people can find you. You can put some other name out there, like Information God, if that's what you want to do. But if you want people to be able to search and find you, it's better to just use your own name. And the whole idea is to engage in conversation with people, not keep yourself, hid in the way. So you do what you want, but there is no protocol for it. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris, one suggestion too is that don't play too easy on the password. We just yesterday had one of our local KOLD Channel 13 folks, Heather Rowe, get hacked. And there was a message went out, and she's on the air again, but make it a strong password at least.
Twitter's very popular internationally. So China and India, when there's things going on in India, they can really hang up Twitter. We had that happen when we were on the Okanagan, was when I think China was doing something to try to shut down Twitter, because people use Twitter. And the governments of communist countries and countries don't like that their people are getting word and video and things outside their country. So it does get hacked into every once in a while, and you get shut down. But it's still a good tool.
Absolutely. And then also, when you sign up, it'll ask you for an email address. You can use your agency email address, but it's recommended you use your Gmail account that you set up for the incident. Get your specific, like abcdfire@gmail.com. You set up your own account for the incident. That way, if you should leave, your email address doesn't go away.
Mention that more everybody can access that
Yeah.
email kind of simultaneously with
Yeah.
working on it and stuff too.
And then Jay brought up, what we did at Station Fire is we created an incident email address, a Gmail account, and then everybody was able to get in there and share documents and upload emails and pull down emails, if you will. So that was quite handy. And we also used that document share feature that was in this, that Gmail has to offer as well.
And maybe it goes without saying, but Gmail, Google accounts, and we're sort of centering things around Google this year because we're all still figuring out how to do this, how best to use the tools, what tools to use, and Google gives us access to a lot of stuff. So if you sign up for a Google account and you sign up for a Google Gmail, I mean, we're recommending, at least the NEMO team was recommending when we were rolling these out, was that a forest start a Gmail account. And in there, put your stakeholder and cooperator addresses and things. Because then when the fire comes and they set up a fire Gmail, it's easy to transfer addresses from Gmail to Gmail, easier than it is to get them out of Lotus Notes. So build yourself a list pre-season of all the people you want your fire to talk to, and then just hand over the Gmail list. And plus your Gmail account gives you access without re-signing up every time to all these Google tools. So if there's one thing you do, sign up for a Google account, get a Gmail account, and start building your lists and using the tools.
And then you don't have the space requirement issue like you do on Lotus Notes with Gmail. You have, I think they give you now 7.5 gigs of space. So you're not going to get, you're running out of disk space on Gmail. Very handy because you can upload all your pictures and documents and zip files and all that kind of stuff up on Gmail, and it doesn't give you that space restriction. I don't think you'll ever run out of space on the Gmail account. But it probably could happen. So, yeah, tip is to use an incident Gmail account as your email address for your incident Twitter account. And you should be good to go there. And then, you know, of course, you're going to have the security capture that's in the manual there. It's pretty. If you ever signed up for anything online, you'll be familiar with it. Now, for those of you who have never used Twitter or never been to the Twitter website to tweet something, tweet is the message you send. That's Twitter language. There's a whole thing on Twitter language here, but the Twingo. So basically, once you signed up, you're going to have a box that says what's happening, and then on the other side of that box on the top there, it's going to have a character count. So as you fill in your text online, this is not through TweetDeck, this is just twitter.com, that text box will start changing, counting down as many characters as you put in there. It'll start counting down and let you know how much space you have left. Real important is to leave at least 20 characters. Once you put in your message, get creative on your spelling and how you know, tomorrow could be number 2 and then morrow. And if you really want to shrink your message, it's things to think about. And then leave at least 20 characters so people can actually, your followers, your audience can actually take that message and retweet it or forward it on to people in their network.
Because retweeting takes up a few more, their name that says they're retweeting takes up a few more letters. So you need space or else they're going to have to edit your message in order to fit it in.
And then if they edit your message, they might not get it wrong, but you lose your translation. And then also some people who want to retweet it, like if I wanted to retweet it from my BlackBerry, I won't bother doing it because it's just too long and I don't want to deal with editing your message to send it back to my network. Unless it's really important, then I'll do it. But it's a nice, convenient way to let people promote your tweets. And that includes hashtags. You want to keep your hashtags within that 120 character, or that within that Yeah, it's 120 characters. So if you have a really, really long hashtag, keep that in mind. It's the best way to shorten your hashtags. Be creative that way. But
What's the hashtag?
We'll get it.
yeah, we're going to get into hashtags.
Hang on.
Okay.
If you don't know what a hashtag is, just wait. We'll go there.
It's not breakfast. It's real basic, the Twitter lingo. The next page here. I'm not on the web. I'm on the actual manual right now, and we'll do something on the web here soon. The Twitter lingo replies. That's an at. When you hit reply on Twitter, it'll bring up the username with an @ sign in front of it, and that'll be you replying to somebody else like KTVK3TV. That's their @ sign 3 or KTVK3TV. That's an example. It's not an actual account, but and then you type in your message, and that'll go to. That'll be addressed basically to them. Now, if you hit reply, if they have somebody has a really good message, like Washington DNR about a prescribed burn, I'll hit reply or retweet, which is RT, and then at the username, and that just means that you're reposting or forwarding it onto your network. Retweet.
Now, in Twitter itself, not TweetDeck or the other. There are some management tools that help you manage your Twitter accounts, but on Twitter itself, there isn't a reply to hit. You have to. Where do you?
Yeah.
I don't have reply on Twitter. You have to put what I'm saying is you need to type in if you want to bring someone's attention. Like say Eric did something, and I want to say. Sitting in Tucson with Eric Neitzel. I'll put sitting in Tucson with @E Neitzel in the social media class. Everyone still sees it, but it brings it to Eric's attention. It'll come up in his special column he has set aside for whenever someone mentions his name. It's like being able to search for yourself. So if you want to bring it to someone's attention, like I can see that Bree out there in TV land is twittering and about the class, and she put in @Chris Erickson and @E Neitzel. So what it does is it brings to my attention that she's mentioned my name. So you can, under what's happening there, where you put in what you want to say, just type in the @ sign, and it'll just bring it to their attention.
Or you can just hit reply.
See, mine doesn't. Oh, there we go. You have to run your cursor over the actual Twitter that you're looking at, and the reply button appears in the lower right corner. So you take your cursor off there, Eric. It disappears.
So you highlight, you basically focus on your message.
You see it now?
And you just
you're
click on
nice.
reply. Or if you like this message, which I do,
Yeah.
There.
free,
Run your cursor over that.
retweet to your followers, yes.
There you go.
And I just sent it out on my behalf.
I'll run it over this way.
Done.
There.
Or if you hit reply,
You can close this if you want.
it'll come up with @Bree's username, and then I can type in a message. Thanks, BRIE, like the cheese. And then click the button reply, and it's done. It's gone. So now that went to everybody I follow or follows me. Just keep in mind, if you want something personal, you want to do a direct message or just send them an email. But we'll get into direct messaging here soon, and situational awareness.
And how Chris always screws it up.
Yeah. Chris is our case study today for direct messaging and situational awareness.
Yeah, Eric, just to interrupt and mention that, you just answered another question. I've been following you for quite a while, and here in certain periods of time, it's like, what is he talking about? I see all these little short replies, and now this is what I'm seeing.
Right, yeah.
Other people...
He's responding to someone
somebody
else.
Right, but it's meaningless to me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're back online.
Let's talk and see. Are there any questions out there right at the moment?
I have one. Can that @reply thing be located anywhere in the message?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be at the top. It could be at the back end or in the middle.
Okay.
Or you could have multiple replies. You could have at Bree McGee or at E. Neitzel or at Station Fire. You could lump in different usernames, but that just kind of bumps your space. But if you have a quick, funny thing to say to somebody personally, you can send that through. It goes through, and everybody will get it.
Retweeted by Skyline Girl.
So basically, retweet. It's a powerful tool. Like I retweet a lot from the Coconino National Forest account. They do a lot of great work. Bree McGee's the Twitterer there, and then I'll just retweet with that message.
Now what it will do.
Or any other incident, anybody I follow really, for the most part. If I retweet them, it means something to me, and I think my network should know about it.
Okay, yeah.
Like I said, Isabel.
This is running a little bit slow, right?
Yeah, it's not. But you should see it say,
Yeah.
Chris Erickson, RT, and it puts the.
Go ahead, Mike.
It's very small. And one thing that we noticed is we had a few questionable followers, and so we've been monitoring the list and deleting those that were inappropriate. So just be aware of that. People click onto our sites, and some of them you don't want to be associated with.
Absolutely.
I don't know if anybody else keeps track of that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in the guidelines on kind of how to address that.
All the guidelines say is to go in like these guys experienced on the station fire. It's not that Hot for You might not have an interest in your fire, but when
She does have an interest in it.
yeah, I don't know why she's hot for you, but if somebody with a marginal name like that, or a lot of these are rather obvious solicitation sites, if you go in through your followers, you can just delete them if they seem obvious. But the problem is that if they retweet it, it looks like fire information is coming out from someone named Hot for You, and it could just, we're a government entity. We got to be a little careful of that. So, if someone calls you up and says, hey, you took me off your thing, and I'm a legitimate, well, you can always add them back on. But if you can usually tell by the picture or the name that they're not looking for fire information. So you just go in your followers and block them or delete them.
And if you have a question about them too, and you think, well, it's Hot for You, really want to know fire information? Do they live in the area? You just look at their past tweets and their history. Go onto their Twitter page and see what they're saying, and if it doesn't jive with reality, just you can get rid of them. We had that quite a bit at the station fire. You have it everywhere. People are fishing for new followers to promote their product. So that even goes with corporations sometimes too. But thank you. That's good. Any other questions?
What's the trick for direct message? They have to follow you and you have to follow them before you can.
Right. If they're following you, you could send them a direct message.
Why don't you go ahead and just talk about direct message now? It's a little out of order, but go ahead and jump in now.
All right, let's go to direct messages. It is kind of confusing. DM stands for direct message. When you put DM in the beginning of your tweet, that means it'll go to the specific person you want to send the message to. Basically, it's DM, then the username, at the username. Like it would be...
Well, not at. You don't need the at sign.
I'm sorry, you don't have to do the at sign.
Just a space.
Just a space, and then the username. And then that message goes right to their Twitter account, but nobody else sees it. So, in order to direct message somebody, they have to be following you. There are cases where people aren't following you, but you want to send them a direct message to let them know what's going on. So, they have to be following you, and then you have to be following them for them to send you a direct message as well. So it's kind of a two-way street. It's real important that before you send that tweet, we're getting into situational awareness, is if you're sending a direct message, make sure that you have that DM sitting there in the beginning of that message and not reply or retweet, because, or reply won't go anywhere, but if you do retweet and it meant to be a DM and you have some sensitive information in there or something not pertinent, That goes out to everybody on your list. And you can always hit delete the tweet, but it's still out there. In aggregators or in utilities like TweetDeck, your tweets will be sitting in there on other people's laptops. But if you have something questionable go out, you can hit delete. It'll delete it from any future people logging in to see it. But once it's captured by other people's applications, it's in there.
Just for clarification, this just says use the letter D. You need to use D and space.
Oh, I'm sorry, D.
Did we say DM?
It says DM on the list.
We need to
So,
fix that.
I'm sorry, yeah, D. The letter D, and then the message or the username is a direct message, not DM.
I think his reference is in the Twitter world. If you'd say I'm going to DM you, it means
Yeah.
I'm going to direct message you. But the actual thing you do, and it says in the directions, is to type a D, a capital D, then the space, and then the person's username. But it's called direct messaging.
So if I were to hit D and then at Bree McGee, which is, or D and then Bree McGee, it'll go right to her and not anybody else. So the thing about direct messages is once you send out a direct message, and that's great, and it's secure, but that person can take that direct message and then send it out to their network if you don't know who they are. So there's some security stuff going in there.
So let's put that in real terms. If you're on a fire and you have some guy, girls, person at an environmental group that's upset about how you're managing the fire and there's a big issue, and you decide to direct message them back, and you say something that's hopefully the truth, but makes them more upset, it's not going to. You have to assume, like anything else you say on a fire as a PIO, that it's not going to stay. It may not stay private. It's all quotable. So they may very well forward your direct message on to other people. So, just because you meant it to be private, doesn't mean they won't send it on. So, I direct message Eric. Well, I try to, except I keep forgetting to put the D in. So everyone on my, everyone following me goes, "Really? We have no idea what you're talking about." And luckily, it hasn't been anything really controversial yet, but.
So that D is pretty important.
Yeah, put the D in the space.
And if it's something questionable or something sensitive,
Don't do it.
don't do it. Just send them an email or give them a call, because it's out there, and they could, if you're on an incident representing an incident, direct messaging, just use common sense. All right.
Now go back to hashtags.
Okay. Hashtags. Hashtags are a great way to track what you're doing on Twitter. One of the great easy ways is that if you have a hashtag with your incident name or something that represents your incident, you can actually go back into search, like search.twitter.com, and then track that hashtag. Track the hashtag. The hashtag is just one way to. A hashtag is like station fire. We did hashtag, which is a £, and then station. That was pretty short and easy to remember. And we put that at the end of all our tweets.
Okay, I'm just creating one for anyone out there who's twittering right now, like Bree and whoever. Scott, is that you? Are you Sky? Okay, Skyland Girl, and all the people who are twittering. I'm going to put a £, SM Fire for social media fire. So put SM, # SM Fire will be the hashtag for this class, and that way they'll all be easy to track, to be able to look at. So anybody who's tweeting out there, use that, and we'll be able to gather them all up in one spot. Now to keep explaining.
One more time, what was that hashtag?
It's a # S like Sierra, M like, what is the one for M? Mike.
Yes.
and then fire. Hashtag SM Fire. And then go tell him what that does when, well, go ahead and tell them what it does when you put a hashtag in and search for it. Instead of just searching for your fire name, you get hashtag your fire.
Right. Hashtags will actually specify, once you put in a hashtag, you could use that hashtag to find all the tweets relating to that hashtag, which is your fire or your incident. I see that Fire Gal Josie just used the hashtag, and it came right up in the Twitter search. And it's also I see Chris's tweet that she tweeted with that hashtag. So it basically collects all the tweets regarding your incident into that hashtag.
And it helps with, like, for instance, if you do a search in Twitter for station fire, you'll get, and you don't put quotes around anything, you'll get, I went to the station today, I'm responding to a fire, I'm blah, blah, blah. If you put # station, which is for their fire, everyone in the Twitter world knows to use that so that it's dealing just with the subject they're dealing with. So it makes sure that if you want to go back and look at what's being tweeted, you can do a search for # SM fire or # station, and you'll get all the tweets, and they'll be just about your fire. So if you create a hashtag right away, that'll solve a lot of problems. You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to. It just makes it easier to look for it.
And it makes it easier, like on Addictomatic or Technorati, the different listening tools, you could track just hashtags, and that'll come up too. And when people retweet it, that hashtag will most likely be in there, unless it's a really long message, and they'll kill it. They'll drop it off when they retweet it. But it takes some getting used to doing the hashtag business, but I think it's very important. We did it last month in this Operation Winter Storm that we were on with the Navajo Nation, our last incident. We called it hashtag NAZ Storm, Northern Arizona Storm. And then the media was able to follow that hashtag versus our account. So anything that popped up with NAZ Storm, they used their aggregators to find what's
Again, keep it short, because it's taken up some of your 140 letters you have in there.
Any hashtag questions?
There's no one at those places.
Okay, next up is link shorteners. Very, very handy. There's a couple of options that you can use. What link shorteners will do is it will take like the Forest Service websites, and then any kind of subject you click on, the link is usually 100 characters long. fs.fed.us. I'm not hacking on the Forest Service, but it's just very long address. It's the same with the Weather Service or anybody. But you had a question? Okay. So what you can do is take that whole link and use one of these link shorteners, and it will take that link, shrink it down to 18 characters, and then you can incorporate that into your 140 characters or 120 characters in Twitter. So it's a good way to get the message out. And all that link shortening will do is just use the shortened link, click on it, and it will forward it to the link you want it to go to, like the Forest Service, NEPA, plan revision, whatever, your fire information page, or the Weather Service red flag warning, something like that.
Now you should spell out that if you're using Twitter.com itself, as opposed to a management tool, like TweetDeck or Hootsuite, which we'll go into later, if you're using Twitter itself, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to go in, if you go to tinyurl, it's tinyurl.com, go to tinyurl.com, bring it up, it gives you a little page. You feed in your URL and it shrinks it for you, then you copy it and you paste it into Twitter. You have to physically go somewhere and shrink it. If you use, my guess is by the time we're done with this, you won't be going to twitter.com anymore, you'll be going to one of the management tools. But in a management tool like TweetDeck, you post your URL in there that you want, like you want to link the URL to the press release you just put up in InsuWeb or on your website, and it's long. You post it in there, it shrinks it for you automatically and puts it right in your tweet. So if you're using Twitter.com, you'll have to go to someplace and shrink it. But these other management tools, you won't have to do that.
Right. Also, these shorteners like tinyURL and bit.ly, they offer analytics for that link. So if you were to tweet a link, a shortened link like Bitly does, they will actually take that link and tell you how many times it's been clicked on, replied to, forwarded, direct messaged, and then beyond Twitter, it'll go into if it's being used in a certain website. It's very handy to have. I know Bitly is the top link shortener, bit.ly, and they provide all those analytics, and you could actually subscribe and get an authorization key and all that kind of stuff to have all that stuff delivered to you. It's kind of technical, but very effective. And once we get into the TweetDeck portion of the tools, you'll see it. You'll have an aha moment once you see how it works.
Questions?
We have a question in Hamilton.
Go ahead.
How do you delete a follower if you don't want to? I couldn't see a way to do that in the Twitter.
Oh, delete a tweet?
Oh, pull up Twitter and if you just
follower.
oh, delete a follower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right up here, you could right under your username. If you're on your Twitter homepage, you'll see following and followers.
Yeah.
And then click on that. Like you'll have these little drop downs. You could follow them, manage a list, which we'll get into, and then all these little other things. You could there's a delete. There's a block which blocks them from ever going to your site again unless you let them in. But let's see, find somebody who's followed. I followed. So you could actually unfollow this person or just block them on the little
Okay, thank you.
gears button. Does that help?
Yes, it did. Thank
Okay.
Eric, how do you manage 3,200?
I don't even follow half of them.
You know, that brings me to another point. Jim was asking about when you have lots of followers or people you follow. I had somebody ask me, and I don't remember where, this was very new to this, who said, somebody told me that you shouldn't be on Twitter unless you can put something up on Twitter every 20 minutes. And this person, I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, we're supposed to feed it all the time. And I said, well, I have the 268 people that follow me, and I guarantee you there's other stuff coming across their desk besides just mine. They're not waiting for me. And like Eric's got like 3,500 people. So you don't have to manage it. You tweet when you have something to say. It's a standard PIO rule. When you have something worth talking about, or in this case, when we're doing the class, and we just keep sending them out for the fun of it. But for the most part on a fire, you...
Well, and you can add people to a list without having to follow them. So then you can group it by Arizona Fire Info or Station Fire and just click on that list when you want to file people.
Yep. And
Does
we
Intuitive
can
define that function?
No, the other thing is if you're trying to delete them, there's a reason you're trying to delete them, and there's a reason they're going to be aggressive about being there. So they're going to always be at the top of the list for the retweets and information. I don't think we troll down to the bottom of the list to look for people. We just look for the ones that were kind of in our face, and those are the ones that we deleted.
And you don't have to, like on my followers, if you open your follower list in that upper right-hand corner, it'll list all the people that's just people following you, and you don't have to follow them all back. I have a lot of people following me, I have no idea why, and they seem perfectly nice. I don't care. I don't have to do anything for them, so anyone can follow me. But on a fire, you might want to be a little more careful about who's following you, as we talked about the names or the pictures or the things, because you are sort of representing a government entity, and you need to be a little more cognizant of what you're representing. Any more questions out there?
I have one. I have this one person, KOLD, who has sent me I don't know how many individual tweets? How do you delete the tweets, the individual tweets?
The one, if you want to delete a tweet,
Yeah.
you why don't you pull it up, Eric, and show. If you run your cursor over the tweet, do you want?
I don't want to delete her.
Just want to delete
hundreds
it.
of them.
This one doesn't
If it's
have
in
a.
your
Just
inbox,
the
you
entries.
can't. You have to unfollow.
Yeah, if it's in your,
It's on the desktop. You can't.
yeah,
Just,
you can't just
You're
delete
gonna
one
see-
tweet. You can delete the person, but not the tweet.
But not.
You can only delete your tweets.
yeah, you can
send
delete
out.
your
Oh,
tweets if
but
you were to
I
tweet
can't.
something, but other people. So you just unfollow them. If somebody's doing too much, and there's a lesson in doing too much. We're talking about what if what do you have to do? If you do it nonstop, people are gonna. My children quit following me because they got tired of going, this is boring, get off my page, So they quit following me because they didn't want to hear it. So people, they might unfollow you for that reason, but that's why it's important to pick what you're going to talk about, make sure you have something to
And
say.
it's relevant. Like on the station fire, we actually adopted a heartbeat, if you will. Like every hour or 90 minutes, we sent out something. No matter it was a link to a picture or an article or a blog, just to keep people engaged and knowing that we're still out there tweeting. And it actually worked. We gained more followers by doing that. By just sending once an hour, or every 90 minutes, every 2 hours, we sent out something, a link to InstaWeb article of pictures or a new post, a new update, weather, or whatever, and that just kept the people engaged. But we didn't overdo it by sending 5 tweets at a time, shotgunning it, which can be very annoying.
Did you want to, an InstaWeb sends out its own tweets that are unintelligible, right? Every time you do an update. So we had to be kind of careful about that, and that we would edit a document rather than have a mandatory tweet come out of InstaWeb that would interfere with our heartbeat.
Yeah.
And you can set it to automatically tweet off InstaWeb or not. No, it does it. He does it automatically. Oh, okay. I thought you could set that one.
And it updates when you send a photo, when you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Somebody has their mic on.
Somebody's walking.
Somebody's walking. People are leaving the room. We can see you,
And the lights go out.
And turning the lights out. Oh my God. I'm sorry,
You
people.
went for lunch.
I can't tell who it is, but I see somebody leaving. I see you.
All right.
Now, look, we guilted the person into sitting back down again. Okay. Go ahead. Any other questions right now before we... A lot of this is made a lot simpler once you start using a management tool. So TweetDeck, Hootsuite, something like that. So we'll show you how to use those, and it all becomes much simpler than actually managing it in Twitter.
Okay.
Hey Eric, are you planning on looking over lists at all?
Yes.
Oh, you could do that here.
Okay. Yeah, we will be doing lists.
Actually, list is a little later, isn't it?
Yeah, lists is a little bit later.
Yeah, it's a few pages down in the manual.
But we'll just kind of keep going on this page. On the next step is following. It's recommended that you follow your audience to encourage dialogue. That doesn't mean hot for you, but yeah, once you follow people, they could send you direct messages or ask you questions kind of offline, which is really nice, provided that you have the time to sit there and read all your messages, your direct messages. So it's kind of a judgment call based on your staffing and incident level and your capabilities. But we encourage that two-way dialogue, at least NEMO does.
Yeah, and let me just say really quickly, it's in the guidelines, but our feeling was social media in its truest form is intended to be interactive, an interactive conversation. It is not supposed to be, although many people use it for this, as another place to post your press release. It is not a push of information. It can be a push of information, but we felt the intent was the conversation, the exchange, the feedback of information. So while some people get hinky about, well, what if somebody, really poopy puts something on our Facebook page or our whatever. Well, what the research that I've read, every piece of research I've read, says that the community tends to police itself. If someone gets really out of line on one of these, on a Twitter feed or something like that, the community itself, it'll self-correct. You may need to make a comment every once in a while, but our feeling is we want to allow for a free exchange of information. If I have an issue with what somebody is saying, if they bring up some controversy, maybe I'll address it in the next press release. Or if they really are getting whatever, I'll follow them and make sure I know what they're talking about. Or I might even ask them to come in so I can talk to them. It does let you focus on somebody and engage them so that hopefully you could educate them and correct them if they're erroneous. And if environmental groups or just angered private citizens or whatever, they're talking about it anyway. So, stop it. Try to think you're going to stop it by editing it off your page. It isn't really going to solve it. Anyway, I'm not suggesting you have to. I'm saying that from an email perspective, from what I and other of my counterparts are doing, allowing that free exchange of information within certain guidelines. If it's defamatory, if it's mean, if it's ugly, there are the usual rules that we would use. We would take those off.
All right. And then favorites. I'll show you how to do this in a second, but you could select certain tweets as favorites to go in your favorites pile, if you will. Just know that whenever you favorite something, everybody else can see your favorites. So if you if you want to favorite somebody just to go back to see their information later or refer to it later, and it's controversial, like somebody says something nasty or rumors or something like that, you don't really want to favorite that so everybody else can see it or give it credit. So now if you get a glowing review on your Twitter presence or your quality of information, I'd favorite it, sure, and then that way you can go back to it and print it out, or other people can see that you're doing really good work. But
this is the Mike and Isabel again. Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
We on this unit developed a social media policy. I don't know if others have something similar. We try to keep it brief, maybe 1 page or so, 1.5, and our supervisor bought off on it, our leadership team. So I think there's a lot of questions that come up about what we should be doing or should not. And we try to set that up beforehand, and I just encourage everybody to do the same.
And I'm hoping that everybody does too. That's why we send our NEMO guideline. I assume everybody got it. If you haven't, email me and I'll send it to you. But that was our attempt at some guidelines and protocols, and now you have one. And if you want to share it, the email list that we've sent out, just respond to that and send it out to everybody, because people are looking for not having to build from scratch, and that will help everyone. Or you could tweet it out if you're on Twitter.
It's funny because one of the leaders in Twitter, as far as government goes, is the LA City Fire Department, Brian Humphrey's group. I asked them for a copy of their policy. They don't have one. Sure. It's just kind of loose stuff. But they're doing an awesome job on getting community information out and whatnot. But I think it's great to have some guidelines for people.
Somebody's mic is on. Is that Pike San Isabel? Is your mic on? Somebody. Yeah.
It's on now.
Somebody just check your mics. It's hard to hear. Okay.
Okay. Another great feature that we've used on incidents, and also the media uses, they used it in 2007 and 2008 for the big fires in Southern California, is encouraging people, your audience or new audience, potential audience members, to subscribe on the fly. Meaning they take their wireless phone, their cell phone, or your BlackBerry, or your brick phone that has text messaging, and they could actually sign up for your Twitter messages on their cell phone, like if they're being evacuated or they're at an evacuation shelter, or they don't have access to the internet, but they have text messaging. They could actually subscribe to your information and get it sent directly to your phone. A good example that we have for the White Mountain Joint Information System that I'm part of up in the White Mountains in northern Arizona, is most of our followers in rural Arizona are on wireless phones. They get our tweets on their phones. So we gauge our tweets to mobile phone users.
And you don't have to have a Twitter account.
And you don't have to have a Twitter account. In fact, when you sign up on via text message, you actually get a Twitter account. They just don't know that. They're on Twitter, but they don't know it. But anyway, you probably should tell them. But here's this slide called Sign Up on the Fly. It'll show you how to sign up for Twitter via your cell phone and get critical messages. Like they did it. Red Cross does it a lot on their sites, and they publish it on the radio, and they let people know about evacuation shelters and how to find out information in your area by signing up on your wireless device. So.
Hi, this is Toya. I have a question. Do you put this in your press releases?
We have, yes.
Okay. Do you have samples of press release that you can send out?
I could probably dig one up from the station fire. It wasn't a Nemo fire, but
It's all right.
yeah, the instructions are also on the manual. We actually in the station fires printed out instructions like those little tear-offs you find for InsaWeb that we put on bulletin boards. We actually put the instructions on how to do it on those, and we posted them on bulletin boards. And then we put it up on InsaWeb, I think, and the blog site that we ran. And
People, I think a lot of people, it's not a new thing to have those little business cards, those tear-apart business cards at a fire that tell people how to find you on InsaWeb, that your trapline people hand out. But you can now add on whatever things you're engaged in. You can add on your Twitter name for them to follow. You can let them know if you have a Facebook page, whatever you have. And, and like he was saying, it could be up on your bulletin boards. It could be, we found it very useful to help the Forest Soup and some of the FMOs and the leadership help them take their phone and help them follow on Twitter, so they got the feeds about their fire. They were thrilled with that.
right.
So learning how to do that is going to be really important, so that you can help other people do it.
Let me just point out, this is Mary on the Sequoia. Here in a lot of the rural counties, we know our counties and many throughout the Sierra Nevada are not the most high-tech. So I know in Southern California, a lot of folks do have a lot more technology. But we know for a fact, and there's a lot of research out that says a lot of the rural counties don't have this kind of technology or know how to use it. So just a thought.
And that brings up a really good point. In fact, we were discussing this morning. There is no, I hope you wouldn't think that we're saying that social media is something you have to or even should use on every incident. I mean, if you're in an area that doesn't have much of an audience, and there are tools that let you search for people on Twitter and Facebook, if there's nobody there, then there's no point in doing it. It's to serve an audience, and if they're engaged that way, then use it. But if not, this is just one of the tools, like trap lines and public meetings and everything else we have. It's one of the ways to communicate. But if no one's listening, there's no point in jabbering on it. So keep that in mind. You have to weigh this with everything else.
So this is just another avenue for message delivery, especially if you're using the E word, evacuations, or threats or trigger points. It's good for people who want to know that kind of stuff to get it right on their wireless phone. It's just another delivery method. Seems to be very popular, again, like in Southern California, and even in Northern Arizona now. A lot of people are signing up via their cell phone, and that's their only means of communication, one-way communication with us at the Joint Information Center. Even our fire department now, people are doing it. So, a very handy tool. And then you also got to, if your trapline folks are promoting this, you guys also got to tell them that standard text messaging rates apply, because you got to have a pretty robust, or like an unlimited text plan, or they'll get charged per message, that type of thing. So most people have unlimited plans now, and I've just read that Verizon's going to make it free to everybody as far as text messaging goes with all their plans coming up. So that's an industry thing. But and then also on the bottom of this list, there's Twitter commands. I won't get into every one of them as far as SMS, simple messaging service, or text messaging. You could turn off all that, the Twitter feed to your phone by just replying to the message and then typing off, and it shuts it down for you. So you don't have to keep getting it on your phone. Or stop is another one. Or if you're on your phone and you want to get messages from certain people but not others, and you're getting a lot of messaging in, you can just type off, space, and then the username, and then that shuts off the feed to your phone.
For instance, let me just say that you might, on a fire that I had, we had sort of controversy, a person who was twittering. So that one person was causing a lot of stink out in the community, so I followed that one person on my cell phone. I didn't follow the Twitter feed in general, just that one person, so I knew I could keep track of what kind of havoc was being wreaked. But then when the fire's over, I don't want them on my phone anymore, so then you take them off. So, but it's just one of the reasons why you might want to track one person as opposed to track a whole feed.
Right.
I do not want my entire Twitter feed feeding on my cell phone. I got enough traffic on my cell phone. But on a fire, there may be, like maybe the Forest Soup. I might track, if the Forest Soup is tweeting, I might want to hear what they're saying. And some Forest Soups are, so,
Like when I was in Washington, I followed Washington DNR on my phone. Just know what initial attacks going on and, basic information that they're putting out. Just so you have that little added intelligence on while you're traveling. Anything else here? Let's see. Oh, and if you wanted to follow somebody from your phone and you already got it enabled, all you have to do is type follow, space, and then the username, if you know it. You got to know it to follow them. So you can do that on the fly. Or if they could type in follow, space, your incident name, and they'll start getting that info on their phones.
And that's what you would do. What we did with the Forest Soup, like on the Okanagan, was went to her phone, typed in follow, and typed in the what we were doing, the fire name, and she got every tweet that we were sending on the fire.
Well, I think you should do it in space first.
I don't know if she ever knew how to turn it off. We probably should send her that information.
Robin? Okay, we're going to get into lists here. Lists are pretty important. What lists will do, lists are like groups. You can group your followers, or not even your followers, anybody really, into one group on Twitter. And let me pull up Twitter here. For me, I've got a lot of lists. I think the maximum is 20 lists that you can have. But I just read that Twitter's going to go unlimited here soon, as far as the lists. If you're on the screen, you can see I've got a list for PIOs. It's not very comprehensive, but it's just the people I want to follow. Northwest Fire, they're here in town. I got a PIO from Rapid Transit in Phoenix. And then all those people that tweet are in this list. I get just their tweets. When I click on the list that I want, like PIOs, if they're tweeting, it will come up here, but nobody else, which is quite handy if you're on a fire and you just want to track a certain group.
So you can add and take off any time.
And I'll show you how to do that. Fire departments, I've got a fire departments list. Northwest Fire here is tweeting a lot. They tweet, it's kind of weird, they tweet on, they don't tweet fire specific stuff, it's just general news. And they got some kind of thing going on where it just automatically tweets news articles. That's their deal. Mesa Fire Department, they come up here on the screen. LA County Fire, or LA City Fire, they just tweeted something about Sandag information, which is great. So you can also go to editing your lists or creating a new list, and then you can start populating people into that as you go along.
Can you change the name of your list once it's started?
Yes, you can.
How do you?
When you edit lists, you did the list that you started. You can't change somebody else's. But if you create a list,
No, the list on my page. Where is it edited?
it's over on the right somewhere.
I just had a typo when I created it, and now I'm trying to.
You're probably the only one seeing a typo, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I was practicing in case I get a really bad typo.
So do you see your list on the right hand side?
Yeah.
And is there a little arrow to the right of it?
Ah.
You should pop it up, and then you can edit or delete it from there.
Oh, I see it. Okay, thank you.
Some people are great with lists. I stink, but I follow the people that I want to on my lists. But some people just get into these lists and it's awesome, and I can just grab on to their stuff and follow their lists.
You know, for people who are pretty basic on this, one of the most basic things people have asked me is, well, how do I know who to follow if I don't know their name? And how do I find people to follow? The easiest way is to find one person that you know, that you think has similar interests. Like, say it's social media and it's Eric or me or somebody else. Go to our Twitter page. All you do is, type in our name, and you'll be able to see our list of people that we are following. And you see that with Eric on the screen. That little list right there of those little icons on the right side, the right column. As you put your cursor over the top of one, a little box will pop up telling you who that is. It'll say it's CAL FIRE, or it's the Okanagan Wenatchee, or it's, the city of Manor. It'll tell you who it is. And if you want to follow them, you just, on Eric's page, you just click on that icon, and when they come up, you click the follow button. Go ahead and click on one of those. Now, he's already following them, but you see right there where it says following, it would just say follow, and you would click a button, and it would allow you to follow them. So you go to a couple of people's pages that you know, and steal followers from them, steal people to follow from them, and then slowly but surely you'll get more people.
Right. And then also, if you go to their page, like I'm on Santa Fe's right now, they've got two lists going. Actually, I'm following them on two different lists. One's on my PIO list, and the other one is on my Forest Service list. And I've got lists for just Forest Service units. Not very many, I see. But
hey, Eric.
Yeah.
While you're on following and you notice I haven't posted on that since May.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Get with it.
I had something already for the Rainbow Gathering and for my own personal account, so I had to create a new account, email account to create the Twitter account for the forest.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember the email account password either.
Lawrence.
We want to suggest that you get somebody on my team has those business cards we talked about, the little tear-off business card, and on it he's typed all of his passwords and all that stuff. And I know there's supposed to be a giant secret, but yeah, you need a bigger book. I needed a bigger book than a business card, but perhaps a suggestion would be in this manual, once we finalize it, that I realize it's not a giant secret, but if the passwords, and you'll never remember them all. So you got to find a way to keep track of them.
I got that. So is there a way to call someone or delete it? Because I don't want to delete it because there's 200 people following.
Yeah.
So I really need in, and I don't know how. I've tried every help and suggestion that's on the help page.
Ruh-roh.
Maybe we could talk about that offline, Lawrence.
Yeah, I think we can come up with a solution.
Hey, thank you.
Okay. Don't do that again.
Thanks for sharing, though. So where were we? Oh, lists. Lists are very handy. It's one of those things you kind of want to just jump in and start swimming, if you will. I live by them. And then, another cool thing, which I just found, since I don't use Twitter on the webpage. I use it through TweetDeck and Hootsuite, which we'll get into. But you can actually find out who's got you on lists. Let me see. Yeah, I just didn't. Where are we here?
But you can click here. I'm just doing that. And I'll show you.
So if you just click on list, it'll come up with two tabs.
Here, I have a bunch of these. I'll give you, take all these notes.
Oh, you all. So anyway, I'm on these lists. Lists following me. There's, these people are following me on their lists.
I just added you here, so.
Oh, okay.
See if you show up.
Which is kind of flattering. There's this one here, whoever this person is. Anyway. So anyway, you can find out who's got you listed, and then the list I follow is the other tab here. Fire related tweets. And anyway, that's another tool to see who's following you out there as far as the lists go. Any questions on lists or groups? All right, cool. We covered the lists.
Oh, you might want to show them how you, I was just showing Loretta now, but on your thing about how you find people. I mean, I showed how you go into someone else's list,
Yeah.
but there's a screen that you just click on find people and type in a name, or just show them how that works.
Say, you click on find on Twitter.
It should just say find people up at the top.
It's
The
just,
top
Oh,
here.
right here.
it's not working today.
Yeah.
Well,
Find on Twitter.
It says Twitter is stressing out a bit
Yeah.
right now.
Oh, Twitter is stressing out right now, so it does this every once in a while if
So
you
the
can't get on
picture
it.
is temporarily disabled.
Just give it a minute. They're very nice about it. We're sorry, we're stressed out, we can't do this right now. But it'll happen when, 9 gajillion people are using it.
So you can type in a name or an agency or even a like wildland fire, and then anything listed.
Twitter is stressing out a bit.
Anybody who's put that in their profile, those keywords, they'll start coming up, which is nice. Especially in an area, you can type Washington State or just Washington, comma, which separates it out, and then fire, and then it'll bring up all the associated Twitter traffic just on those two keywords, or Twitter users, Twitterers.
Okay.
All right.
Any more questions?
And then you can also publicize your list. If you want to make it, you can make them private or public. There's going to be a little checkbox when you create the list if you want to make it private or public. And then you could also publicize that list. There's a few people that are list happy, and they send out their list, which is their username, and then the list name. It's all in one string, and then you can just follow that list. You don't necessarily have to be following everybody in that list, but you can follow the list and see what people are saying associated with that list. It's really handy.
Would that be a good tool when you actually are created a new Twitter account for the incident?
Yeah, you can share your list with agencies or cooperators or partners, cool people, supporters.
Hey.
So I think it's one of Eric's doctors.
Oh, Blondie blogger?
Blondie blogger?
I don't know. Not yet. This one is kind of interesting. A tweet up on a fire. Chris brought this up last year. And I didn't know much about. I knew about tweet ups, and I go to them a lot. But during a fire, and then I thought about it, and it's a great opportunity to engage your followers, a certain demographic, to come to have a tweet up at a public meeting, or have a tweet up, which is a tweet up is inviting your followers to a specific place and hang out.
In person.
Yeah, in person, in the flesh, non-digital, analog environment, if you will.
Analog.
So, yeah, and people do it all the time. I go to plenty. There's one in Flagstaff actually tomorrow night I was going to go to, but Bree's going to go. And it's a great way to network. It's kind of a Chamber of Commerce thing / getting to know your followers.
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to actually go to a tweet up, but what I've heard from them is that what I thought was it's a great way to pull people from a particular audience to your community meeting. So, maybe, how we've experienced it, it seems to be only the really mad people that come to your public meeting, not your supporters, they stay home. Well, this might be a way that you could say, come on, we need you to show up, come and speak up. And so I thought, well, let's just have some fun with it and call a tweet up at the public meeting, and we could have afterward a little gathering with the people who are on Twitter so we can meet them and shake hands and they could ask a personal question.
It looks like a great tool to pull people in, though, to see what's being tweeted related to responses, right? Criticisms of the fire or the
Do you mean to
management
bring
actions?
them to a public meeting? Or
no, actually on
well,
Twitter.
as I recall, TweetUp is for us. It's not a place where you pull Twitterers. It's a physical place for them to drive to. It's a meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a party. It's a get together. So that
Flesh and
physical
blood
place.
gathering.
I shouldn't say a party if it's a public meeting, but it's a gathering in person.
It's a rodeo.
It's a rodeo. Exactly.
We used a kind of a modified version, and that when we knew we were going to have a public information officer, a shopping center, or specific places, specific bulletin board, we would post the address and post the times that they would be there. And so we were able actually to drive the public towards our PIOs who were out in the field rather than have the PIOs looking for them. We could drive them towards the boards, right? So we could pick a place, we could put the PIO there, and we could just schedule our PIOs going through the community so that things were close by.
And every time we tweeted something like that, go to this bulletin board at Icelandic and Central or whatever, people would show up. And the PIOs on the trap line said, yeah, all these people on Twitter came by and said hi. So, it actually works. And it's a great way to have people engage and retweet your stuff and support you and,
As we all know, getting to shake someone's hand, nothing will ever replace one-on-one communication. Nothing. But this is like a second to that you get to have one-on-one interaction with them, and if you can get them to come to a tweet up at a bulletin board like we were talking about, or somewhere, you get to shake hands with them. Then you're more likely, we're building relationships. We know on fire that when things hit the fan, and they're going to hit the fan at some point, it's the relationships you built in the community that really stand you in good stead. That's why we do trap lines. This is another way to build relationships, and so that's why I really emphasize that it's not a push. It's an exchange. It's a relationship you're building. And the more you put into it as a real person, not just go to my website, go to my website, go to my website, but say, oh, we're having fun, or kind of a hard day today, or, yeah, we're thinking about you guys too. You to respond as a real person, you build a relationship. And a tweet-up gives you an opportunity to actually physically shake hands with people.
And most of these people wouldn't go to a public meeting on their own.
Right.
Without
saying, please come.
Yeah.
A personal invitation.
Personal, yeah. Speaking of invitations, there's one of 1,000 probably websites geared towards tweet-ups, and it's up to you if you want to use it or not. It's just a way to invite people that are following you, and they could say yes or no, I'm going, or just I'm interested.
Now, Eric, I haven't, not having done a tweet up, there's a tweet bite, but how do you call a tweet up? Is there a place on Twitter, or do you just type it into your update and say, we're having a tweet up?
Right, we're having a tweet up.
Okay.
After the meeting, we can all get together and, talk or whatever. Most times tweet ups involve alcohol. But this, coming to a public meeting, get special, treat them special, and they'll help you out.
But also I was just thinking about it. If you got a bunch of them to come, and say you had 15 or 20 people that were on Twitter that came to your public meeting, and you gave them a special tag that said, I'm following on Twitter, and they could talk to other people at your community meeting and help them set up on their phone and tell them what kind of information. They can serve as advocates for you if you want to help. Part of what the stage we're at right now in Fire is that this is new to everybody. So part of what we're doing is trying to say, we want to communicate with you. We think this is a way we can do it more, and if you want to try it, here you go, and we'll help you do that. I mean,
and then TwitBite, this website I got up, you can actually create a meeting, a tweet up, and it'll actually give you a place where you can print out your own name tag with your picture on it, with your avatar, with your username, and then you can just wear that. Or you could print it out ahead of time if you know who's coming. And I'm not going to create an event, but it's very handy. And it's never been done on a fire officially as a tweet up, as far as I know, or an incident. But I'm thinking that we can do some good stuff with this coming up this year.
any questions about it? What we've been talking about? Wow, you're clear as a bell, Eric. For the first time, I mean.
So, anyway, I like this. I support this plan.
I can support the plan.
Okay, here's just real quick, a couple other tools that we use, or I love to use on incidents, is TwitDoc. What TwitDoc does is it will take your news release in whole, formatting and everything, and post it online. So that way if you don't have a place to host a PDF file or a Word document news release, you can't get it up on the website right away, either your agency website or InstaWeb, you don't have that capability, you can just go to twitdoc.com, put in your user account information for Twitter, and then upload your document. I just recently did the Wildfire Predictive Services Outlook and posted it, and people can get there real time and see the entire document without having to download a PDF or find web space.
And I would ask, how many of you have a letterhead on your fire? Maybe you have a team letterhead or something that you use, and you like the way it looks, and it's got you know how we do the little grid, the table at the bottom that lets us put, maybe you do number of engines, personnel, whatever, but you have a little grid, or acres, or you make a grid, and you can't put that into InstaWeb because it won't let you upload the PDF, and it won't let you upload the formatting. So this would let you put your letterhead as it stands, as a whole document, and tweet it out.
And then they can also download this document in its entirety.
Right.
I hit a little download button, so it'll download, if it's a PDF, it'll download it as a PDF or a Word document. It'll actually retain every formatting.
Once you save it, where does it show up?
It shows up in a link in Twitter.
Okay.
It will, you tweet it out, it'll tweet it for you. In fact, I'll go to, give it a shot. There's actually two versions of TwitDoc. There's one that you can download and put on your desktop, and it's a really easy tool. You can just drag your document into it and then send it out. Or you can just use this simple form and just fill in your username for your Twitter account. It has to be Twitter. And then your password. It doesn't remember it. It just uses it one time. Unless you hit remember login. But and then a quick summary of what the document is: news release regarding burning this area, whatever. And then choose your file, and then pick a PDF. It could even be a picture too if you wanted to tweet a picture of something. Pick your file and then hit post, and it'll post it for you in its entirety. It'll take a snapshot of what the actual document is, and it's actually really cool thing to use.
Let me ask, once you choose your referenced file, and after you click on the file, you'll see it appear here where it says tweet, in the box that says tweet.
Correct.
Will it have shortened it for you?
Yeah, it'll shorten the URL.
Okay, so it auto shortens the URL for you. And then, and like where it says left, mine says 110. Is that just it'll actually give you how many you have left.
Correct.
The real number after your update, your open it.
So it's very handy and quick. I mean, you don't have to wait around for somebody to try to host your document. Well, they'll do it anyway, but you can get it out right away using TwitDoc. Another cool feature is you could take that link that's been tweeted and then post it in your Facebook page, which I'll show you, or include it in another news release or email saying it's, pointed to this direction, pointed to this TwitDoc page, and then people can see it right away if you don't have time to host it.
And just so you know, we're going to finish up with Twitter here, and then we'll take a lunch break in case you're starving.
So basically, I just showed you that little the text box or the box where you could upload your file here on this page, and then a trick to posting the link to the document on Facebook. And you can refer back to that when we get our Facebook section. The next little fun tool is TwitLonger. What it'll do is if you have a message that's over 140 characters, like a paragraph, or I think it goes up to 1,100 characters. But if you want something quick and easy to send out to people, you just copy and paste into TwitLonger, and it will send out a message 120 characters plus a link. And then when they click on the link, it'll come up with this page with your entire message. So if you get something in from the Weather Service, like an email, saying that red flag warning is whatever, severe something is going on, you can just copy and paste that information, put it in TwitLonger, and it will tweet it for you.
What about on the receiving end, Eric? What are the normal people? Will they see that whole thing?
Well, they'll see the first portion of the article, and then with a link saying for more.
And it all does is bring up another screen right away. It's not, they don't download a document or anything else. It just brings up a bigger screen with the whole thing in it.
It's a handy tool if you don't have the time to format something, or if you need to copy and paste something into a.
What's this doing to the folks that are getting their tweets on their phone?
Well, therein lies the issue. You got to gauge your message to your audience. Like if you got phone users, like my BlackBerry will open this no problem, but if you're on an old flip phone, Motorola, whatever it is, you probably won't be able, you have to have a web-enabled phone to click on the link and a data plan. But if you get the gist of the message in the first 110 characters, or 120, you get the message across fairly well. And if they want to go back to it online, they can do that. And just another thing, I'm not with the Forest Service, so if I mention some tool that's not allowed, or a browser like Internet Explorer 8, I found that is not allowed, I apologize. I didn't know. So
that's your disclaimer.
Yeah, I was with the agency once, and I was back in Internet Explorer 5 days. So anyway. So I showed. Here's a little more information on TwitLonger. How to sign in, and then on the manual in the lower right corner of that page, it shows you the message. Urgent fire weather message, yada yada yada, with a timestamp and then a link to the rest of the message.
Okay.
So.
Is that the last one?